as we wait for the finalization of the matter by way of appearance before court today, but they could hear none of it. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the protesters engaged police in throwing missiles when the police tried to use tear gas, and it was really a very, very rowdy protest. And of course, one would understand the public anger given the circumstances which the deceased had died. Mr. Speaker, sir, the police were able to open the road much later in the night, but an incident occurred around 7 p.m. the same night. One of the local young leaders, the chairperson of the Tharaka Nithi Border Association, one Willis Mugambi alias Kiraku, was shot dead in the chest around 7 p.m. and died on the spot. And that complicated the matter. And immediately that happened the same night, we dispatched through the Inspector General of Police the Internal Affairs Unit of the National Police Service from Nairobi. The head of the Internal Affairs Unit actually was dispatched the same night to Chuka to travel there and personally take over the investigations, mainly the investigations around the shooting of Willis Mugambi alias Kiraku, because it was alleged again by some who made reports that they suspected that he could have been killed by a police officer in the process of the riots. So we dispatched the Internal Affairs Unit. It's still there. We have crucial evidence, and we believe very shortly we'll be narrowing down to the person who shot and killed Mr. Mugambi. At the same time, the Independent Police Oversight Authority the following day on Sunday dispatched their team to investigate that incident. IPOA is independent. So while the internal investigations by the police is handled by the Internal Affairs Unit from Nairobi, the IPOA team also from Nairobi is handling an independent investigation so that there are no perceptions of internal collusion or preference whatsoever. The two teams are working, and I am told a lot of progress has been made, but up to now, the conclusion, the investigations are not concluded. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, in the in-between, we have reinforced security presence. As late as last night, there were incidents of, again, a few youths trying to block roads. And we have deployed the Regional Police Commander, Mr. Rono Bunei from Embu for Eastern Region. He's the one personally dealing with that matter because, again, there were aspersions cast at our officers who are based in Chuka. Both the officer commanding Chuka Police Station and the county commander for Tharaka Nithi County. I can report, Right Honorable Speaker, that as we speak, in the meantime, we felt that in order to build public confidence in our officers, the Inspector General of the National Police Service has transferred both the OCS of Chuka Police Station and the County Police Commander of Tharaka Nithi, and new officers have been put in place already as we speak. So that's where we are, Mr. Speaker. We do not have any conclusive evidence. I want to assure the House that, one, we will respect the outcome of the court decision regarding the anticipatory bail, which we have opposed through the State Council. Once that anticipatory bail is lifted, And based on the evidence we have, all suspects are going to be rounded up in minutes. But we cannot violate a court order, and we really hope that our case will be favored by the judge this afternoon to allow us continue with the justice process beyond the point it is at the moment. With regard to the killers of Mr. Kiraku, the Boda Boda chair, again, we believe in the next few days, we will be able to have enough evidence to help us take action, including prosecution of the suspect. I think, Honorable Speaker, that is all I have up to now. I remain at the disposal of this House for any supplementary issues, and also with regard to the other questions that are listed in the order paper this afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Do you have any supplementary to that on behalf of your colleague?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would say that thanks to the Cabinet Secretary for answering the same question, and having originated from the same county, I believe the Cabinet Secretary understands well, and he will be able to deal with that matter conclusively. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That is a comment, Minister. You need not answer. Morugara. Now, those who want to ask supplementaries, you go to interventions, and I'll give only 3.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, the Cabinet Secretary, for that response. But I do have a supplementary question on behalf of the family of the late Willis Mugambi Kiraku as follows. What measures will the government put in place to ensure that the family of the late Willis Mugambi Kiraku, the Boda Boda chairman Tharaka-Nithi, who was fatally shot on the 8th of April 2023, is properly, sufficiently, and adequately compensated for the loss of their kin without undue delay? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister, you note the 3 supplementaries that will follow each other, then you answer. Robert Mbui.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Having been a victim of police violence, I think it's important to ask this because I know forensic evidence can show the gun that shot the bullet that killed that young Boda Boda rider, and also very many young boys and girls who were killed during the recent demos. I just wanted to confirm from the CS, are shoot-to-kill orders the acceptable by this regime of Kenya Kwanza that you serve? And do the police bosses understand the Constitution and the right of Kenyans to be able to picket under Article 37? Thank you.
The Honorable Pauline Lenguris, Samburu Women Rep.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I want to conjoin my question to the Minister, and I want to thank him for the response, and want to request him that the killing of young innocent people has become rampant in this country. A case in point are also the killings that are brought about by the bandits. Every day, we are losing 2 people every day in the presence of security officers. I want to base my case in Samburu, for example, just related to that case, because killing is just a killing. We are losing people every day. And the minister is aware, I'm sure, is being briefed every day that people are being killed by the bandits who come to displace people in their homes. They are killing in the presence of the security officers who are there, the army, the GSU, the police. So we are wondering, what are these security officers doing when innocent people are being killed each and every day? We have lost properties. In 2 months, in Samburu, for example, we have lost 30 young men and 1 middle-aged woman. We cannot continue in this trend, Mr. Professor Kindiki. Please do something. And if the security officers are overpowered by the bandits, tell us, then we will plan ourselves to deal with them properly. Thank you.
The last supplementary minister I'll give for Minority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Just as a follow-up to the question originally asked by Mr. Honorable Munene, Mr. Minister, Waziri, I must really appreciate the speed with which your ministry dispatched the Internal Affairs Unit and indeed the IPOA to carry out investigations on the fatal shooting of Mr. Mugambi in Chuka. Mr. Speaker, we have similar, more or less similar cases that have happened in the recent past. A case in point is the fatal shooting of a third-year Maseno University student, William Mayenga, in Maseno University by the police on the 20th, I think, of March this year. The second incident is the killing by being run over by a police vehicle of police officer Ben Oduor of Nyamira, or of Keroka Police Station, Nyamira County. Bwana Waziri, could you confirm to the August House if you have similarly, in those instances, dispatched the Internal Affairs Unit to carry out investigations? And if so, what is the progress of those investigations? What is the status of those investigations? Or could we be seeing a case of double standards, application of the law differently in different situations, in different parts of the country, and concerning different communities? Two, is it now a policy of the Kenya Police Service to quell riots by use of live bullets? Is the old policy of using rubber bullets now discarded? And if so, when did this change in policy occur? And for whose benefit? Thank you.
Minister, there is a member, Honorable Kamren, who says that if he doesn't ask a supplementary, it will not be good for him today. I'll give him a minute, then you can answer the 5 questions.
Asante Bwana Spika. Nataka nichukue nafasi hii Spika. Ya nashukuru waziri amejaribu, lakini ninapoongea saa hii vita inaendelea kwangu Baringo South. Sasa hivi ninapoongea na kijana mmoja tumepoteza maisha, watatu wameumia. Nimetumana pesa ya meli kwenda kuwachukua wale ambao wameumia, na nimetumana gari kwenda kuchukua mwili, na saa hii ng'ombe imeenda, watu wanakimbia, wanahangaika kwa sehemu ya Kiserian, Mukutane na Rukus. Najua waziri alikuwa kwa huko hapo awali, lakini saa hii imekuwa chungu kwamba kazi hii ya bandits inaendelea. Sijui waziri utafanya namna gani kwamba watu wangu wapata amani. Nimeomba kila wakati kwamba au wakora watolewe Rukus, Mukutane na Araba locations. Au wamechukua hiyo locations sote 3. Hakuna mtu naishi mashule, mpaka hata bandits wenyewe wanaishi kwa mashule. Ile tuliyochenga kwa CDF. Nitakuwa nikicomplain mara ngapi? Watu wangu hawana bunduki. Mimi sio kama wale wengine wana bunduki wanaweza kujiokoa. Sisi hatuna bunduki. Waziri na anaelewa. Naomba kwamba nahitaji amani, na hii watu wangu ambao wameumia saa hii kwa sababu sijui hata ni ngapi. Naomba kwamba waziri, tutafanya nini hii vita saa hii isimame na watu wangu warejee, na hiyo ng'ombe imechukuliwa irudi, na serikali wanisaidie hiyo mwili ambaye imeenda na hao watu naumia, serikali wakaramie. Asante sana.
Minister, you may answer those 6 supplementaries. Be precise and concise. Given the tremendous interest, I might give another 2 thereafter.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, with regard to the supplementary question raised by the member for Tharaka, I would like to respond as follows. That at this point, when investigations are ongoing, we do not have conclusive evidence on who would have shot the deceased. However, if the evidence links an officer of the National Police Service or any other government official in the murder of Mr. Kiraku, two things I would like to assure the House. One, whoever is responsible will be prosecuted. And two, if the person has died in the hands of our officers, the procedures for compensation will ensue. Honorable Speaker, with regard to the question raised by the Honorable Mbui, I would like to respond as follows. There are no shoot-to-kill orders. On the contrary, all officers in the National Police Service and all security agencies who are involved in managing public protests, demonstrations, and riots, and crowd control are under very strict instructions not to use live bullets when dealing with members of the public. In fact, Honorable Speaker, the reason the OCPD was transferred is because there were very strict orders given by the Inspector General of Police that there should be no live bullets used in crowd control, not just in Chuka, but even in other protests. So we are asking, we want to give some independence so that we establish when the OCPD is not in office, if indeed it's a police officer who fired that killer bullet against the orders and the policy of this government, then action will be taken. But of course, it could have been any other firearm holder because there are civilians also who are licensed to carry arms and they could take advantage of riots to cause deaths. Honorable Speaker, the third supplementary question was raised by the member for Samburu. And I want to assure the House, through you, Mr. Speaker, that the deaths that have been caused in Samburu and other parts of the country as a result of livestock rustling and banditry are regrettable. Two, we have had an operation going on there, but we continue to experience incidents of bandit attacks from time to time. Honorable Speaker, what has happened is that we have been able to dominate the permanent abodes where we suspected bandits were hiding whenever they steal livestock. And because of international standards on the use of force, that is the only reason we gave 24-hour ultimatum to any members of the civil population who could have been mixed up in these areas by way of being family members to the bandits, etc., to vacate. After that, we have been able to actually remove and dominate those areas and remove the threats that used to exist in those areas. But the spiral, what has happened is that during that window of notice we had given to be able to ensure that we don't have civilian casualties, some of these criminals could have mixed with the population. And because the security forces cannot be everywhere and guard every homestead, they are making sporadic raids, sometimes successful. But Mr. Speaker, we have prevented and thwarted and even recovered livestock numerous times on a daily basis. I am even willing to table within the time that we have had an operation in the north, how many livestock have been stolen in all those counties, how many have been recovered, and where, and how many are outstanding. We have not made full recoveries, and the reason is simple. That as soon as a raid is successful, the criminals divide the livestock into small numbers, 5, 10. So the recovery process is a bit slow, painful, but we've made some significant recoveries. I have evidence as late as yesterday, we have recovered livestock in Laikipia. So, Mr. Speaker, the challenge is still there. We do not want to deny that the challenge does not exist. And Mr. Speaker, this challenge has not started this year, last year, 5 years, 10 years. This is a problem that started as early as 1977 in some parts of these areas. We are doing everything possible to make sure that we have a final end of this problem. It cannot be done in a month, 2 months, 6 months, 1 year, but we will reach there. It doesn't matter what it takes. We appeal for patience, we appeal for understanding, and we know that we will get around it as soon as we continue this domination of these areas where the bandits retreat when they steal livestock. In fact, Honorable Speaker, we are upscaling the numbers of security agencies we have. We are doubling them on Saturday. And as I've announced, this deployment will not cease with the end of the operation. Whenever the operation will be called off, the security agencies will remain there for as long as Kenya exists, to ensure that this problem does not recur. Because previously we have done an operation, as soon as there is a semblance of tranquility, we recall the security agencies. Honorable Speaker, the fourth supplementary question was raised by the member for Ugunja, the Honorable Pio Wandai. And I would like to assure the House, through you, Honorable Speaker, that the government has no double standards or does not respond to security threats based on where they happen. In the matters that the Honorable Wandai has raised, in fact, we acted even faster. But there was no question asked for us to report what we have done. So I want to confirm to the House, the Honorable Speaker, that the same measures we have applied in Chuka are the same measures that have applied in this instance. The Internal Affairs Unit, as we speak, is on the ground. The IPOA is also on the ground to provide independent investigations. So there are no double standards, and I think I can comprehensively say I am the minister who has been in most parts of the country, given that I've only served for slightly under 6 months. I've been in almost 70% of Kenya. So there cannot be double standards, and I don't know the last time I was near my home. So if there will be double standards, I'll be accused of not going home, Honorable Speaker, not the other way around. Honorable Speaker, with regard to the fifth one, the fifth supplementary question raised by the Honorable Kamuren, because the one by the Honorable Wandai about live bullets, I've already said. The instructions are on the contrary, no live bullets. That's why you have seen, even in the most dramatic protests that we've had recently, we have not had casualties. We've not had deaths. And wherever deaths have occurred, like the Kisumu death and the one death in Kibera, the investigations will help us know whether this was a police gun or a civilian gun, because as I have said, both the police and civilians are licensed holders of firearms. If we establish anybody has violated the rules and the standing orders of the National Police Service, action will be taken. Honorable Speaker, finally, the supplementary question raised by the Honorable Kamren. I've been to Baringo, perhaps a little more than any other county, both overtly and covertly. I have been there visibly and invisibly. I know the complications and I understand the pain Honorable Cameron is going through. I share it, and I know what he's going through today. We have discussed with the leadership of Baringo and the other stakeholders and our security commanders on the ground that we must come round this problem so that it's just beyond recovering livestock which was stolen today. For me, I believe we must have a way of ensuring that no livestock is stolen again in the first place. What are the measures we are putting in place? One, this afternoon, we have just approved an additional 200 police reservists for Baringo, 100 for Baringo North, 100 for Baringo South. Training is going to start before Friday because we believe the security agencies cannot be in every homestead, but the National Police Reservice can help mitigate a big way, and we have seen in other parts of the country, NPRs are helping stabilize the situation in a big way. So we have approved that. I have provided the money for their training immediately. We will not be asking for any stakeholders to help us. We will do it, and that will stabilize. Number two, we are opening up 2 new security roads. We are moving equipment to make sure that we make security roads, which we have discussed, especially in Baringo North, and I am looking for an opportunity to have a discussion with Honorable Cameron on 2 major roads that will take care of Arabal, Mukutane, Ngelecha, and that interface between Arabal Hills, Mukutane, and into the Laikipia Nature Conservancy, which is giving us a lot of problems because of the reasons which I've explained. So, Mr. Speaker, we are not there, but we are on the way there. I am going back to the operation area, and I am going to stick there a little longer. And I know between us and the political leadership, we'll find a lasting solution through security roads, through NPRs, and through intelligence-led investigations. Mr. Speaker, I think that's all for now. And once again, the Honorable Cameron, the information you've given me will be acted on immediately I leave this chamber. Maybe we can talk and discuss how we can support you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Milemba, what is out of order? Give Omboko Milemba the mic.
With the humility, Honorable Speaker, the Waziri did dare both you and the House that he can table the recoveries in all those areas. And what we see in the media gives an impression that the government is not doing as much, like the bandits are doing so much. So could you please, Honorable Speaker, if I'm in order, to order that the minister tables those documents immediately so that the people from those areas and Wananchi in general can have confidence in the progress. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I think it's not papers but statistics that he promised to table. Minister, when we are done, you can pass on the statistics to us. Now, honorable members, I still have members who have worked here, 8 in number, and on the screen I have 11 who are interested in this question. This is a trial run, like I said, and we said we'll be having about 3 supplementaries. But because the members who have come here can take judicial notice are mostly from the epicenter of the security challenges, indulge me to give them a minute each to ask 1 question each. I don't give you an opportunity to make a speech or to go to unhelpful tirades. Ask a supplementary to the minister, and I'll also ask him to oblige the House with short answers to save on our time. member for Manyata. And I also noticed, honorable members, honorable member for Manyata, you've seen me and you've said you want to ask a question about the Kianjokoma brothers. Now, that is totally unrelated to what is going on now. But you can ask. It is good if you have a question that you want to ask, file one and the minister will come and answer.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
Why I wrote Kenjokoma brother is because we are still reeling in loss of those two young brothers and we have not recovered up to date. And Honorable Speaker, I first want to say thank you to Waziri because he has really shown a lot of restraint during mandamanos on the issue of using police force. Honorable Speaker, my question is on the investigation, efficiency of investigation of extrajudicial killing. And we have a case here where police body investigates itself. And I would like Waziri to kindly give us an overview because he has come in as a new blood with a very nice team that can help improve this issue. But Honorable Speaker, many extrajudicial killing that we have had, including the Yala River famous killings, Honorable Speaker, we would like to know what he is doing as a ministry in terms of policy level to improve on the efficiency of police investigation. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Turkana Central, 1 minute. Give the member for Turkana Central. There's a mic next to you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this chance, and also I join the rest of the members in thanking the CS for being the pioneer CS to appear before the House. First, as we speak here today, Honorable Speaker, there are families, more than 50 households that have lost their animals, their livestock, in the 1 a.m. raid in Turkana Central, in Turkana East, and in Turkana South. The animals are being driven towards Tiati as we speak, and we are still pursuing the bandits as we speak. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in Uganda, there are Turkanas, 32 of them, who are cordoned, wrapped up, and imprisoned through the court-martial in Uganda. One question that I want to ask is, why is the CS not able to implement such also in Kenya, where the caves, the gorges, and the places he mentioned in the Gazette notice, why is there no action in terms of cordoning and even wrapping up the bandits in those areas?
Thank you, Honorable Member.
Number two, Honorable Chair.
One question.
Okay.
Thank you. You are done, Honorable Member. Baringo North. Yes, Honorable Junet. Hold on, Honorable. Give Honorable Junet the mic.
Hello, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for indulging me, Mr. Speaker. If I heard the member very clearly, he said, Mr. Speaker, that cows are being taken to Tiati as we speak now here.
No,
and the member of Parliament for Tiati is here, Mr. Speaker.
He said they're headed to towards Tiati.
Towards Tiati, Mr. Speaker.
Which is different from being taken to
And the member of Parliament for Tiati is here, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, could he explain this matter a bit further, whether the cows are going to his home, Mr. Speaker?
That is for... I invite the member for Baringo North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll utilize the 1 minute as follows. One, Mr. Speaker, this is the only cabinet secretary alive in security who has actually spent his energy and time and resources.
Ask your question.
So I want to thank him. Number one question, Mr. Speaker, my intelligence is that the bandit that was taken away in hospital in Iten is the one that killed my cousin. and he was taken by 10 bandits in an hospital in Iten, driven to wherever by the other bandits. Could the minister therefore tell us when that wounded bandit who was in hospital will be brought to book? And my last question, Mr. Speaker. I still have the 1 minute, Mr. Speaker. When is the minister going to operationalize the cassetted administrative units in Baringo North? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. There was a member who wanted to ask about the abduction of the injured bandit, so you don't have to rise to ask that question. Honorable Ariko. Ariko from Turkana, is it Loima?
South.
Turkana South.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to appreciate this opportunity. I want to voice what is happening in Turkana South and Turkana East. Honorable Speaker, I request to ask a supplementary question with regards to the capacity of our security agencies. Honorable Speaker, what is happening in Turkana? We have experienced rampant raids, which we cannot explain the intention of these raids. Honorable Speaker, yesterday, my constituency experienced 3 raids, both in one ward called Katil Ward. It happened at 1 p.m. and again a repeated one at 5 a.m. Honorable Speaker, I wish to ask the Minister for Interior, CS Professor Kindiki, do we have a capacity as a country to handle this internal conflict? Because there has been a recurrent raids or conflict in this country. What are the plans now that our security agencies on the ground are experiencing shortage of resources to handle this conflict? Honorable Speaker, as at now, we have surveillance vehicles, we have KDF, we have a number of security agencies in Turkana South. But unfortunately, the response we are experiencing, this response can only happen during the daytime. The bandits have come up with a new strategy. And this strategy is only to raid at night. When our security agents are sleeping, they cannot operate at night. Honorable Speaker, what is the take of our CS with regards to this matter? Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Speaker.
Hold on. Thank you, Honorable Ariko. Avoid the temptation to make a speech in the guise of a question. Honorable Kangogo.
Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, Mr. Kindiki. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the Cabinet Secretary, the National Police, Mr. CS, they don't have the capacity to handle the bandits in Kerio Valley. Mr. Speaker, on Friday, peacemakers from West Pokot and my constituents, Mr. Speaker, recovered about 7 heads of cattle, and they were taken to a Chieshu camp in a place called Kamele, so that to be handed over to the owners the following day. Mr. Speaker, that night, a daring bandits entered into a Chieshu camp and took away all the animals. On Friday, Mr. Speaker, the same thing with the honorable member for Baringo North talked about. A bandit who was arrested and taken to county headquarters in Iten, where we have about 100 policemen. The county headquarters, Mr. Speaker. And then 10 bandits came all the way about 200 kilometers away to rescue their own, and they successfully took away from the police. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the CS. To confirm to this House, Mr. Speaker, that the National Police Service are unable to handle the bandits and bring a motion to this House so that we can have the Kenya military or the KDF to take over the operations of bandits in Kerio Valley.
The women rep Turkana, she's left. Yes,
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
1 minute.
Okay, thank you. I only have a very brief question to the CS. Right now, we're being told that the person who was booked in at E10 County Referral was a bandit. Was there any OBLs who were booked that particular person had previously been identified as a bandit or not? And then we would wish to know, was he taken by the police, or if there are other people who came to the county referral and took him, if people are calling them bandits, can they name them by their names? So what I wish to know is, was there an OB elsewhere that Dennis was booked as a bandit? And the other ones who came to the rescue, were they police, or if as bandits? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Last, the Honorable Farah Maalim.
Mr. Speaker,
Let
Mr. Speaker,
Minister be ready to answer after Farah.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, be patient. If I'm satisfied there is enough interest, I'll give another round.
Mr. Speaker, this is, I must commend the government on this, because this is the first time the military has been used for a peacekeeping in this country where there was not a genocide the way it was done in Wagala, in Wajir in 1984. And my biggest worry was that this was going to be heavy, and it's going to be military is not for this kind of things. But the fact that you have protected the lives of the innocents and you're just looking for the actual bandits themselves deserves a lot of compliment. My question, Mr. Speaker, is, Mr. Minister, have you tried some soft power? Have you tried to find out how you can deal with the elders, with the communities, and bring the communities together, as opposed to maintaining basically law and order in that place? Have you also tried to look at the social issues that underpin, because there's only one community that everybody's complaining about, the Pokots. The Pokots are the poorest, they are the least educated, there's the least what they call infrastructure in order.
Order, Farah. Order. The member from Balambala, you are out of order. Can you conclude your question?
Mr. Speaker, we need to educate those children, Mr. Speaker. We have heard this before, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Minister, thank you very much. I've discussed some of these things with you, and I'm sure you're going to take them into consideration. But let's look at the social conditions in there, first of all. When you have a very poor social condition somewhere and everywhere around there has got some wealth, then of course they will go and try and go and attack those places. So my question is that let's look at soft power. It has worked in Northeastern Province, for your information. And also let's see how we can change the situation of the children of Pokot there. Thank you.
Who is raising a point of order? Moroto, what is your point of order? Because Pokots were mentioned?
Yes. Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker,